What? What up, Babs?
Yay! I just heard a little kid outside my window. I think it was a little kid or like a raccoon. Why do little kids always make noises that sound like they're being killed? They think it's funny, but it's not.
Raccoons always go.
Maybe we're going to be joined by woodland creatures.
Maybe. Nope, Byron, that's a bong. That's your neighbor smoking a bong.
So before we went live, we were talking about how the youngest member of our cast has crazy demands. She's currently feasting, and she'll probably be command that someone carry her downstairs into the studio.
She's a diva.
Yeah, and then she'll just poop her pants and expect somebody to clean it up for her.
She's so lazy and she hasn't even attempted to walk yet. She's like
Not even.
3 weeks old and she hasn't even rested a foot on the ground.
And she demands to be carried around.
But okay, you know, there was news this morning and it made me think of you. You really should get your will in order so that all the proceeds from this podcast go directly to her. You don't want to run into the same problem that Aunt Jemima's family is facing right now.
Mm.
Oh, I didn't hear about this.
The family of the woman who they modeled Aunt Jemima after, who, by the way, her name wasn't even Jemima.
Jemima sounds way more racist. So
I know.
Yeah. Right, exactly. Her name was like Helen. They're like, that's not nearly racist.
Right.
She died in 1955, and her family's coming out now in 2014 with a lawsuit for $2 billion.
Guys, what was the delay?
Exactly.
What were you doing for 50 years?
But the funny thing is, like, she doesn't look like the woman in the picture, and her name wasn't Jemima, so I don't know what they're basing this on.
Wait, Byram, couldn't you sue? Maybe they modeled Aunt Jemima after you.
No, they modeled Mrs. Butterworth after me.
Yeah.
And I already signed off the rights to my bust, so I was like, here, do this. And they gave me like $35.
Ugh, that was like when they sold Manhattan for like a switchblade. No idea of your true worth.
Speaking of switchblades, our absent co-host got this gift recently. The video viewers can see it from lawyer listener Jen Savage.
Oh my God!
It's a toolbox full of tools.
It's so much more perfect. She sent me the links, and just so you guys know, she was choosing between two, and they were both tool sets, and she goes, which tool set is better for her? And I was like, I don't know, but we thought this one was better because it's so soft. The other one was like made of metal. So I was like,
she's already used it to take apart the refrigerator. It's awesome. So she likes it. She has spit up on it and sort of gummed it a number of times. She's totally into it. So thank you, Jen.
I'm so glad we're all sharing in the conspiracy to make Leah a giant lesbian.
I know.
The best part is
drive around in her Subaru Outback with her.
Yeah.
The best part is Jen actually has one of those herself. So she was like, you know, since I love my toy set so much, I'm going to buy one for Leah.
That's what she uses to do fixes around the house?
Yeah.
The TV breaks, so she beats on it with a stuffed wrench.
Yeah.
You know, Jen has such a hard life. We never pull social media into this, but one of her friends posted a picture of her just enjoying a nice beverage this afternoon, having a gay man braid her hair. I was like,
Yeah.
What is Jen's life?
That is Jen's life, basically. But she still somehow manages to have the time to text me every single day asking when the podcast is going to be. She's like, so no podcast today? Great. No podcast today. Great. No podcast.
God bless you, though.
Yeah.
Someone we have a loyal listener. That's
the only
we
one.
We have two. Maria listens to it.
Yeah.
She was going to the Hamptons, and she's like, I downloaded all your podcasts, and I've been listening to them like back to back, and she loves them. So we're
Wonderful.
at 2 listeners, and that's it.
And I was talking to Armand the other day. He listens.
Oh yeah, he does.
He was a guest host for one brief shining moment.
That's right. That's
That's
right.
right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a glorious
I
episode.
wonder
We'll
if
have
we
to
should
have him
start
back.
having guest hosts again.
Friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod. Lots of friends of the pod.
You know, speaking of friends, this is going to be probably the worst segue I've ever...
You always say that, but you always somehow
Just-
manage to outdo
Just
yourself.
commit to it. Do it.
Yeah.
Have you guys been seeing these ice bucket challenges that are happening on TV? Not on TV, on like your
Dude,
social media.
yes. I'm so glad you brought this up.
So I had seen them. I didn't realize that it was related to someone that I actually went to school with. So Peter Frates, who lives in Beverly, Mass, who was class of 2007 at Boston College, and star athlete, was the captain of the baseball team, just really, really successful and popular at school. I guess in 2012 came down with symptoms and he got diagnosed with ALS. And over the past couple of years, his health has rapidly declined. And so the Ice Bucket Challenge, I think, across the nation was started for this guy Pat Quinn in Yonkers, New York. But in Massachusetts, a lot of people have been getting involved because Pete's story is so compelling. So, it's hard to read that story and not be touched by it because it's such a fucking scary disease. And the idea is you get challenged to do the ice bucket, and you basically take a bucket of ice water, and while someone's videotaping you, you say that you're doing it for ALS, and then you dump it on yourself, and then you challenge 3 or 4 more people, and then they have to do it. Whoever doesn't do it within 24 hours, which is the shitty part, because you have to commit to, you can't just find a bucket of ice anywhere, and you have to be camera ready also. You have to do it 24 hours, or if you don't do it within 24 hours, you have to pay $100. So I got challenged on Saturday. I did not have a chance to make a video, so I'm donating $100 today. But if you guys are interested, I will challenge you to it. You'll have to do the video.
I fucking hate you. I don't want to do that. Because one, I was just going to give you a guilt trip about being like, you know what, you actually can get a bucket of ice anywhere. It's really easy to get a bucket of ice anywhere. And 2, I can't afford $100. But 3, why, what fuck kind of charity is this that you are challenged to, shouldn't you just have to donate the money? Why would you get out of donating the money? I don't understand this whole
I think the idea is that it's like a meme, so that it spreads around a lot, and so everyone's paying attention to it.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
nobody would think or talk about ALS except for the fact that there's this weird meme going around.
Yeah, and I think there was some controversy. Someone posted an article, we can tweet it out later, about how this is stupid and how it's more important to give money than to have these videos going out. But no one talks about ALS, and it's such a horror. The life expectancy is 3 years, and your life just you lose control of everything but your eyes, I think, and no one else talks about it. But now this year more than ever, how long has it been? I'm not an athlete, so I don't really know these things, but Lou Gehrig gave a really amazing speech, right? The luckiest man speech. When was that, in 1954 or something? Or
That's more than I know about it.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I'm completely unfamiliar. I didn't even know, this is embarrassing, I didn't even know what ALS was. I kind of thought ALS was the, American Liver Society.
Oh.
I didn't even know what the acronym meant. Now I know.
Well, so Lou Gehrig, it's named after him. Lou Gehrig's disease, also known as ALS, and
Yeah.
ALS is an acronym for something a lot more scientific than my mouth can say.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it just takes
Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis.
Yeah, so it ruins your nerves. So you have no control over your body, your speech or anything. So basically, he communicates now by looking at a computer, and he selects the letters that he wants to type out, and then it becomes words, and then the computer speaks. So that's
Wow.
his life right now. But he went from being a kid who had it all to this. So it's really fucking. it's not that I knew him personally. Jen was actually good friends with his sister, who was our class. You know, like when something happens to someone who is remotely connected to you, it becomes so much more real, and then you become like fascinated by it, and you want to learn more and more about it. So yeah, like I said, I wasn't sure that my big wet white titties on camera would do justice for these. So I'm not going to do a video, but I am going to donate money. And I won't challenge you guys, don't worry about it.
You can challenge me. I'll do it.
You will do
challenge
the
me.
video.
I'll do it too.
You know what's crazy?
Yeah.
You do the video while holding
I'll do
it.
Yeah, totally.
She would
Like
not be happy about that.
He's like, she's 3 weeks
She
old.
would
It's
not
about
be
time
happy
she
about
took
that.
part in her first Tough Mudder. Let's get this going.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll do it. I wish I had enough money to donate. Maybe I'll donate a little bit of money because it does sound like a really horrible disease.
Yeah.
Uh,
What else is going on in the news?
I'm sorry, what'd you say about it?
What else is going on in the news?
So I am really, I don't know if I want to bring the room down in this way, but this whole ISIS thing is pretty terrifying.
Oh yeah.
So I watched a episode of Frontline about like what had been happening in Iraq recently, and it does seem like actually kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it seems pretty horrifying, and it actually seems like Barack Obama is. I'm not mad at him for this thing. I'm glad he's sending airstrikes in there.
So for listeners who are not familiar, ISIS is the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. Is that what it is? And it's like a sort of hardcore, like militant group that's like swept across Iraq and like taken over large swaths and like whole cities, including like taking over banks and armories and like looting them of like money and weapons. And it's now like a big, well-funded, well-armed.
And they offered to buy our podcast, and we wouldn't sell to them. So
Although we
Right.
did
They
agree to
won't.
do this spot.
yeah, it's sponsored by them.
So this is.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not supposed to tell the viewer that we're sponsored, but
It is sweeping the nation.
Yeah.
It is
So-
a fundamentalist organization that is just sweeping the nation.
And you can join at your local bodega where you buy scratch-off tickets if you wanted. We're not telling you to, but
Yep.
if you felt inclined, you could.
Yeah, sign up for
and,
ISIS.
and Bean was allowed to circumvent the burqa requirement by remaining in the shadows.
Yeah, exactly.
So she's
For
down
those of you watching the YouTube video, she is in a perpetual state of witness protection.
to-
She's always lurking in the fucking dark.
Yeah, I just don't want them to find out that I am not actually a fundamentalist Muslim because they'll definitely behead me, and my head is my bread and butter.
I really need my head. For-
You-
I really need my head. It's important to everything I do, weirdly enough.
Can I just say that there's always talk around when shit like this happens, when radical groups of any religion do something, you always hear people say like, well, how come no one's condemning those acts or whatever? I absolutely am not part of ISIS. For
either.
anyone who is thinking, I condemn whatever they're doing. I'm part of the I love to get drunk and hug Muslim society. So they definitely do not speak for me. And I feel like, honestly, when people meet me and they realize I'm Muslim, they're like, oh my god, I had no idea, like, chubby gummy bears who have Lisa Frank backpacks could be Muslim. But lo and behold,
Yep.
we are. So, there. I think I did my
Yeah.
part standing up for the nice Muslims of America.
Agreed. The nice Muslims of America. Nicest.
The nice... Liz, that's your new fucking
the episode title.
You better use that
Yeah.
open mic. You know what though? ISIS definitely sounds like a Latina girl in your high school who like chews like big red bubble chewing gum. And it's like, oh, is ISIS in class today? Nah, yo, she skipped class today, right? Doesn't ISIS sound like a Latina girl's name?
So I heard they had to pull ISIS out of school because she got pregnant.
Yeah. This segment brought to you by Goya.
Yellow rice and red rice.
I think that
Not to be confused with the Zatarans. Dirty.
Right.
I think the problem for nice Muslims around the world is that when these fucking nutcases do this shit, they always have to drone on and on about how they're Muslims and how they're bringing the Islamic State to the rest of the world and all this other shit. Because like when like huge assholes that are Christians do horrible things, they don't seem to wrap it in as much like Christian specific language. You know what I mean?
Well, you know what it is
Yeah.
with Islam and with Judaism more than other religions. The religion itself is the culture. So you have these people who their country is governed by their whole belief system and their religion. I mean, like Jewish people are Jewish. Like they never identify with other nationalities. Really, it's really more about being Jewish. And all of these fundamentalists in the Middle East and stuff. That is their lifestyle. Like their whole life is being that religion more than anything else. So you have no other choice. Whereas Christians, it's like they have other identities. So Christian fundamentalism, those people are tied more with being American. Like when the Oklahoma City bombing happened, right? Like Timothy McVeigh and Sally Struthers, I think, were the people who committed that crime.
Mostly Sally Struthers.
Yeah.
Ashley Judd was involved as well, but
Who?
she was Ashley Judd. She
Yes.
was more
Fucking
Muslim.
whore she is.
Does this count
Yeah.
as slander? I
Yeah.
feel like we could be sued for this.
No, she's referring to Ashley
Okay,
Q.
sorry.
Judd.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Kind of the odd. Just kidding.
that's my 2 cents. You have people who are doing this for more political and national reasons, but because their religion is tied so closely. Like I can honestly tell you, there's no actual practicing Muslim who condones murder. You know what I mean? Like there's a group, there's a girl that I work with, and she started this Jewish Muslim volunteer alliance, and so during Ramadan this year, she organized. This is the 3rd year I think they've done it, where Jews and Muslims get together and do a traditional iftar, which is a breaking of a fast at night. So we went to a synagogue, and we went through Jewish services, then Muslim services, then we all had dinner together. And it's like most of us live that way. It's not, but you have these people, and obviously the fucking media skews everything, so whatever gets the most clicks or the most views.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's plenty of us who aren't doing that, and so.
Well, obviously, I mean, there's like how many? There's like 1.5 billion Muslims, and there's like
Yeah.
a couple thousand who like blow shit up. Like,
Yeah. But
Yeah, if every single Muslim was like a murderous psychopath, fucked.
it'd be over, and it would be not close.
Yeah.
and I would
Yeah,
get kicked
not
out
even
and I would get kicked out of my
close.
soul
Strata
class so quickly. And like we have no room for your kind.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Speaking of soul
I
cycle,
thought it was funny. I was reading an article on Slate that they were talking about how basically ISIS is making like Al Qaeda and the Taliban look like straight up rational and normal because they will like do deals with the U.S. So now they're becoming like the middle of the road Muslims, whereas
oh my god.
becoming the fundamentalist Muslims. Yeah, exactly. ISIS is so fucked up they make Al Qaeda look good.
So we were like pals with Al Qaeda in the beginning when they were fighting the Russians, and then we were fighting them because we hated them. But now we're gonna be pals with them again, so we're gonna send them more surface-to-air missiles.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah. Sweet. That's what you call blowback.
Yeah. Oh, guys.
It's fucking scary.
It's totally scary. And again, and this is always my gripe, I feel like I never ever know the whole story, no matter how many links I read on Facebook. Not articles, just links. I never actually read the articles. I can never get all the information that I need, no matter how many BuzzFeed articles I read about ISIS.
You know, it was so funny watching this great frontline piece about Iraq, about what was going on, like in, from like whatever 2006 to like 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And just like like these random guys we were like putting in charge. They were like these totally just like crooked like local politicians who like we couldn't like get a handle on them. Like we just like we'd put this guy in charge and then he'd like kick everyone out and put all his like sect in to all the things. We'd be like, dude, you can't do that. You can't just put your sect in all the jobs. And he's like, oh, okay. Give me the money. So they have all this footage of like American soldiers with like duffel bags full of cash, like laying it out on the table. So these like dudes smoking cigarettes with mustaches, like twiddling their fingers, like looking at this money. It was like fucking crazy shit. Yeah, and they just like they're like totally. It's like totally like the Elks Club of Iraq, like sitting around while the U.S. brings in these sacks of money, agreeing to like be in charge, but meanwhile, like, I don't know, sure, I'll take your money. It was like, it was fucking crazy. But like, that's what goes on. I mean, it's just like a bunch of like weird backroom deals, and I'm sure that's what's going on now.
Yeah. I feel like it's a lot like what's going on at the restaurant that I work at right now. I think there's always like, so restaurant managers are like, I don't know, it's kind of a thankless job because you don't make as much money as like the servers do, and you're kind of caught in between the owner and the server, so it kind of sucks. It's a really hard job to hire for. Like, nobody really wants to do it, and nobody has time to like actually hire the right people. So there's always some yahoo in this like restaurant manager job, then nobody has enough time to like manage them or promote them or like really make sure that they're doing a good job. So they're always just kind of like barely there, and everybody fucking hates them. And so I feel like it's just like that. Like the owner of the restaurant's just like sitting there with like a sack of money, being like, "Can you just stop sucking so much, or I'm gonna fire you?" And then they end up like firing them and having to like rehire some other person who's like even worse. And so it's just this like cycle of like idiots, and they just keep getting dumber and dumber.
Yeah, it is really
just
hard.
Like that.
It's pretty much exactly the same.
It's
like
exactly
restaurant managers and like local chieftains.
Puppet. Yeah, exactly.
Broken country.
Local, fundamentalist Muslim chieftains. It's the exact same thing. These are the connections my brain draws.
In equally unhappy news, did you guys read about this NASCAR driver that ran over?
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, I heard about it this morning.
So it's really sad. I feel bad for the kid's family. But did you watch the video?
So
No.
they played a snippet of the video on the news this morning, but before it got to the graphic part, they turned it off and they said we cannot show this on the air.
So the kid like got kind of run into the wall or whatever, and his car was broken, and then he got out and like tried to fight the guy's car. Like he like was like what? And he like runs out in the middle of the track like all pissed, and he got run over. I mean,
Oh my god!
Like that dude, what the fuck, man?
What are you doing? Yeah, what are you doing?
Like,
And the guy, it wasn't like he maliciously ran over the guy. The car was just still going when the guy got out of the car, right?
he was just like it was like a dark, like weird, sketchy track, and like you could see how I don't know. So
They didn't mention that on the news. They just said that the guy who ran over the kid, I don't know his name. Apparently, he's a big-time race car driver. But the story said that he, obviously, so he feels horrible about it. So he's gone into like hiding almost. He's just like he feels incredibly guilty over this. But they didn't make it sound at all. They just said it was an accident. They didn't make it sound like the kid was a fucking lunatic who ran out of his car and tried fighting.
Well, so the driver's name is Tony Stewart. He's a NASCAR driver, and I think it's like not an uncommon thing to do that like when drivers are pissed they walk out onto the track and like give a what the fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think it's like he's the first one to ever do it or anything like that. I just think it's a dangerous thing to do, and like it caused like a tragic accident.
Yeah.
But and there's like they're not pressing charges on Tony Stewart. Like, the young driver's name was Kevin Ward Jr. I want to say I think he was like 17.
Wow.
He was really young. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was really young.
But it looked like he just like made a hot-headed move and put himself in a dangerous situation, and it went badly.
Yeah,
So.
I really wish they would write these headlines a little bit differently because the headlines all say Tony Stewart runs over NASCAR driver. And it would be better if they wrote it like NASCAR driver is tragically killed in like, sad accident. I don't think, it's a bummer that Tony Stewart's name keeps getting mentioned in that way.
Yeah.
I mean, technically he did run over the guy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true.
I mean, he ran him over.
Right.
But it's
And
not
if
like
I read the article, I would get the actual information, but just from the because I only read headlines. So that from the headline, I'm like, wow, Tony Stewart is a murderer.
Yes, and he did not.
He did not murder.
Like, that's going to be the thing that follows him around for the rest of his life. It's like the time that I sharded on a school bus going to the Whitney Museum. Like,
Right.
no one remembers me for the fucking stellar academic record I had
Yeah.
at PS261, but they remember the day that I was wearing fucking white jeans and was playing a game on the back, which resulted in a little bit of poop coming out. And that's the headline that's stuck with me up until this day.
Yeah, Byron Mazzei.
Shardy.
Did you have like a beaver
Destroys.
tail of poop like going up your back?
No, I didn't have. It was just like one like little fudge stripe, but they were really light jeans.
Mm.
And so I like wore my sweater around my waist for the rest of the day, and I was like, no one is gonna know. And then my mom, like, I came home and I like washed my own clothes. My mom was like, what is up with these jeans? And I was like, what is up with you? You are the worst mother. You just like.
You're the one that bought me these white jeans at the women's department of Macy's.
Yeah. You're the reason this happened, Mom. I shouldn't have been eating succotash for breakfast anyway. So, guys.
Oak, I think the beaver tail is probably in the forefront of your brain because Leah's really little, so when she shits all over herself, it probably looks more like a beaver tail because
It does.
it's just
Yes.
she's just little.
Because she's lying in it, and it goes like,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
up the back of her diaper and like up her back, and then
Yeah.
Have you guys been putting protein powder in her milk yet?
no. Apparently, Amy's milk has plenty of protein.
Oh, damn. Well, I'm not surprised.
Leah is growing vigorously.
Amy's one big creatine.
Yeah, she really is.
Guys, speaking of shardy dreams, I had the pleasure of going to Toronto this past week.
Wow, Canada.
Yes, Rob Ford's
Jeez.
fucking stomping grounds.
Yeah.
So I had a meeting with the Canadian Press. They're a partner of ours, and I we had like a 5-hour meeting, and I was super professional, and like no one knew that I had any kind of personality because I was just going through like board deck slides, whatever. And then we head over to this bar on the corner to really let our hair down and hang out. And it's me and like
Smoke
5
some
Canadians.
crack.
Yeah, and so they're all like, oh, so do you like Toronto? And I'm like, oh, it's okay. Like, I literally came here from the airport. And they were like, yeah, people say it's like a little New York. Meanwhile, it's not. Toronto is like one big episode of WKRP in Cincinnati. It is so like beige and yellow. Everything screams like 1978 there, So anyway, they were like, have you ever been to Canada before? I was like, oh, I've been to Montreal. I was like, but I've really wanted to come to Toronto because I'm kind of infatuated with Rob Ford. And they just stared at me, and they were like, what? And I was like, yeah, he's like so lovable. And they were offended. They were like, how would you feel if you went to work every day and Rob Ford was your boss? I was like, I would actually love work. I was like, not that I don't love my current boss, but like, Rob Ford is harmless. Like, he's done drugs, but who hasn't? And I was like, when you just like can't get out of a conversation, you're like, fuck, these are people that I just have a work relationship with, and now they think I'm a total fucking scumbag. But they were like offended because they hate Rob Ford so much.
That's a real shame.
I know, so I'm never fucking going back to Canada. But
they don't realize the jewel that they have in their midst.
Yeah, the
the
Charlize
crack
Theron
smoking.
of Toronto is their fucking mayor. And
Right.
they just don't get it. What was weird though? The silver lining on my Toronto saga was when I went to fly back home, I go to the airport and I see the gate that I have to go to is gate F or whatever. So I check in, get my boarding pass, and then I walk to gate 8 and and then they're like, oh, did you go through customs? And I was like, no. And then we have to go through customs before you go through security. And I was like, before I leave the country? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, that's strange because usually you go through customs when you land in a country, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm standing in line at customs, and for the first time ever in my life, someone came up to me and goes, "Sir, you don't have to wait in this line. You can go through the express line." I didn't have to go through security. I didn't have to take my belt off. I didn't have to take my shoes off. They were just like ushering me through, and I was like, I'm being baited right now. They're making it seem like they're doing something nice for me, and they're gonna fucking trap me in a dungeon.
Oh yeah, they're gonna kick your ass and you're never getting out.
Yeah.
I mean, have you checked all of your orifices? Did somebody plant something on you?
I don't know.
You should be careful.
Yeah, and I was just like shocked. I was like, okay, waiting for I was waiting for Ashton Kutcher to come out and be like, "Psych, we're gonna fucking waterboard you before you get on this plane." Right. But they actually just pushed me right through. I didn't have to wait in line for anything. And then the guy who stamps your passport, he was like, "Oh, so what were you here for?" I was like, "Business." And he goes, "Okay, maybe next time you'll come back and stay a little longer." And then he stamped my passport and he goes, "Welcome home, sir." And I was like, what? First of all, I felt like so fucking presidential. Like, "Welcome home, sir." Like at the end of a fucking alien invasion movie where the president saves the day, they're like, "And welcome home, sir." And I'm like, what? How did this happen? Like, who am I? You know?
Also,
And
weren't you still in Canada at this point?
I don't. That's what I was thinking. I think if you go through customs on your way back to New York, that might count as American soil, kind of like an embassy. Because
What
there's
if they were like, what if they just wouldn't let you leave Toronto? They were like, "Welcome home, sir. You're here forever now."
Right. Welcome
I
to your
would've-
home, which is the shipping container, which you will spend your last
Listen,
hours.
as long as I'm the first lady to Mayor Rob Ford, I would have been fucking happy with it.
Yeah, absolutely. They pick one lucky traveler who becomes Rob Ford's first lady. Gender, race, creed, sexual orientation, level of fluffiness.
That sounds like a really good Lifetime movie where I'm like trying to
I know.
travel back to the States and I get to be fucking Rob Ford's concubine and I just give up all my earthly possessions to just stay up there and be his muse.
They asked Rob Ford at the beginning of the month, "What do you want this month, Rob?" He said, "I want a Nisus."
I think we just came up with a really great comic book idea. We should start drafting this up.
I think so too. I want a nicest.
Yeah, it was surreal because I was like, I've never had an international travel experience like this where they were just like, "Right this way, sir," and like, no, take off your shoes, leave your belt on. I was like, what? Like, what is happening right now? The one thing that they did ask was if I was carrying a laptop to take that out, so I took that out, and it was just really weird that I got to go through that.
I think that made me really just want to travel to Toronto. So this segment sponsored by the Toronto Tourism Board.
I'm telling you, Toronto it was crazy. Like everywhere we went, people were just like, it was literally like traveling back in time. I can't describe it any other way. So my coworker that was with me, when we were at this lunch, well, we went for drinks, it wasn't even lunch, she kind of put her foot in her mouth too because the president of the company that we were meeting with, he's the one who kept inferring, like, "Oh, I go to New York a lot," and he's like, "And this really is an up-and-coming New York. Toronto is definitely like, in terms of cities, it's right behind New York." And she goes, "That's funny because I told my father that I was coming here, and he's been here a lot, and he compared it to Milwaukee." Like, I've never been to Milwaukee, but that definitely sounds like an insult, And it's like, how do you compare, fucking Milwaukee and New York,
Well, Milwaukee is the New York of Wisconsin.
You're right.
Milwaukee is Algonquin for the good land.
The land of many lakes, you idiot.
Is that what it is?
Wayne's World. Yeah, it's the land of many lakes.
Is it really? And is Milwaukee really Algonquin?
I have no idea.
It sounded fucking convincing.
It's an Alice Cooper quote from Wayne's World.
Friend of the pod, Alice Cooper.
Maybe it is the good. I think it's land of many lakes, though. I'm pretty sure.
It sounds fucking convincing.
That should be a drop. I think every city thinks of themselves as little New York, or the New York of wherever.
Yeah.
Like Boston is the New York of Massachusetts. Dorchester is the New York of Dorchester. My room is the New York of my house, I think.
Dorchester. Is Dorchester the bad neighborhood?
Yes, I think it is a bad neighborhood. Whoa.
I knew there was one. Thank you. I knew there's There's some town in Massachusetts which it was like always don't go there. We were like warned against going there, and Dorchester sounds familiar.
Dorchester is definitely one of them. I went to UMass Boston, which is the Harvard of Dorchester.
Is UMass Boston in Dorchester?
It is indeed, yes.
Oh shit.
But it does overlook the ocean. But there's lots of bodies floating in the ocean.
Speaking of lots of bodies, do you guys have Ebola?
Not as far as I know, knock on wood. I have been at the doctor recently.
You get sick from that.
That wasn't me knocking on wood. That was the Ebola taking over my body. So in Ebola news, I'm glad you brought it up. This is going to be shock to no one, especially listeners of the pod, but I was getting a pedicure last weekend. Did I share this story on last week's pod?
I don't think so.
Okay, so I was getting a pedicure, not this past Saturday, the Saturday before, and the last time I had gone was before I left for my trip. And so the woman giving me a pedicure, she goes, "Oh, didn't you just go on a trip recently?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she goes, "How was it?" And I was like, "Great." And so she goes, "Where did you go again?" And I said, "Africa." And there was this older lady who was getting a manicure at a table nearby. And she must have heard Africa and seen that I was in Africa. And she was just like one of those like really like strung out, stressed women. And I heard her whisper something to the woman giving her a manicure. And the Korean woman giving her a manicure, I was like, I'm going to blow up this bitch's spot. And she goes, "Excuse me, this lady wants to know where you were in Africa." And she probably whispered it to her, like, "Do you know where he was?" Because she's fucking nervous that I'm carrying Ebola. And I was like, "Oh, South Africa." And she doesn't even look at me. She, like, looks down at her hands, and she's like, "Is that where the Ebola is?" And I was like, "Probably." And she goes, "Oh," even though it's West Africa, but whatever. I kind of wanted to fuck around with her. And she's like, "Oh, when did you go?" And I was like, "A month ago." And she was just like fucking terrified. And I was like, "Bitch, if I had Ebola, I'd be getting a fucking pedicure." You know what I mean?
I'd be spraying blood out of my eyes and dying in quarantine.
Yeah. I know it smells like shit in here, but that's my normal fucking health. That's not, you know. But she was so fucking paranoid. But, you know, then later that week was when the fucking news came out that guy was in fucking New York with Ebola, and everyone was panicked.
That Ebola guy looks like some damn dirty hipster as far as I'm concerned.
Well, he was in the news this morning, I guess, because it wasn't Ebola. It was just like a really bad fever, which is like horrible timing to have a really bad fever when you get back from Africa. Yeah, he's home and stuff. He's fine. But, you know, I don't know if it was ever a matter of him having Ebola. I think it was just, you know, great news fodder and clickbait, and people were really fucking paranoid about it.
Right. The sort of vibe I've gotten is that if a country has like a robust public health infrastructure like the United States does, then we're probably going to be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like wash your hands. Continue to wash your hands.
Yeah, and like
we're still America.
We have protocols for, you know, isolating people who have like dangerous infectious diseases, and like we have like things in place to like contain this kind of stuff, and they don't they don't have in West Africa.
Yeah.
We just cornered them in the airport and put one of those exploding pots over them.
Right. We just welcome them home and then put them
in a shipping container and marry them off to Rob Ford.
I'm so glad you brought back exploding pots, because that's my favorite part from our last podcast.
That's what you call a callback.
Yeah. That's all, queen of the callbacks.
Bean, have you been able to use the exploding pot on stage yet?
No, you know what? I have not. That's one of those. I feel like I'll come up with jokes and then I won't use them for like 5 weeks. They'll just like sit in the back of my brain like so much Ebola, just growing and festering. Yeah, I had a good stand-up comedy week last week. I feel like I had a little bit of a breakthrough. I finally learned how to tell jokes, which it's weird to say that I hadn't been telling jokes before, but I kind of just didn't really understand what it was to tell jokes, and now I've like kind of get it. I think I understand joke structure, I understand setup, and I understand punchline better than I did the week before, so that's kind of cool. And it means that I'm like excited for this coming week of stand-up comedy. I'm gonna do stand-up comedy tomorrow night and Wednesday night.
So give us a joke. I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you have a joke?
Okay, what? So, You guys, so I have, I've got a lot of issues, just like every human has issues. But I think one of my biggest issues is that I have a really sort of deep-seated abandonment complex. It's so bad that I went to the doctor and she was like, you have HPV. And I was like, oh, fuck, that sucks. And she's like, no, you know what, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. Like 85% of the adult population has it. Like, it's not going to cause any really negative effects. And your body actually naturally processes it. So within the next 12 months, it will have sort of moved through your body and left you. And I was like, why? What did I do wrong? I feel like a year isn't enough time. We don't even know each other. Why is it going to leave me? So that was my joke. That was one of my jokes. Yeah.
The whatchamacallit? That's a really great way to get a boyfriend too, because anyone in the crowd that hears you have HPV is like totally going to be into you.
Yeah, it's gone well for me so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, I posted it on Facebook too, so that's good.
I'm looking at Wikipedia and under bomb disposal, and there's the bomb containment chamber. That doesn't have quite the like jokey zip to it that like what were we calling it? Explosion pod?
Explosion pod. Yeah.
There are a wide range of containment chambers available. The simplest are sometimes dangerous suppression vessels.
Oh, dangerous suppression vessels, kind of awesome.
Top of the line gas-tight chambers that can withstand multiple shots.
Byram, you should use that for sharding.
Yeah, I'm gonna call that I'm gonna name my pussy that.
You should get Leah a gas-tight chamber.
I have a joke, and Liz, you could probably use this in stand-up. My barber, Vinny Russo, he's been cutting my hair since I was a baby. He always has a new joke for me, and I never remember them. But on Saturday, he repeated a joke that he told me 2 weeks prior, and I was like, I'm going to commit this one to memory, because it's not that funny, but it's also kind of clever, and you can kind of work it into your stand-up. So
jokes don't have to be funny; you just have to tell them well. That HPV joke is not funny.
You can kind of customize this one to your own life. But there's these two nuns that are walking through a pretty bad neighborhood, and they realize this guy's following them. And one of the nuns goes, "Man, I think this guy's up to no good. He's like, pretty, aggressive and following us. I'm kind of scared." And so the other one goes, "Listen, we'll just split up. You go that way, and I'll go this way so he stays after me, and this way you'll be safe." And she's like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to leave you alone. And she goes, no, trust me. Just you go that way, I'll go this way. So the nun who didn't want to separate, she gets back to the convent, and she's waiting. It's a half hour later, and the other sister's not there yet, and she's getting kind of nervous. And finally she shows up, and she goes, "What happened? Like, why'd you take so long?" And she goes, "Well, he caught up to me." And she goes, "So what happened?" And she goes, "Well, I had no choice." She goes, "I had to lift up my dress." And she goes, "Oh my God, and then what happened?" She goes, "And then he pulled down his pants." And then she goes, "And then what happened?" And she goes, "I ran away." She goes, "Sister with her dress up runs faster than guy with his pants down." Get it?
Yeah.
Because everyone loves a good rape joke. You can fashion that.
Everybody loves a good rape joke.
So on Alibaba.com, where you buy like stuff from China, you can buy bomb containers.
Ooh. Quanto Coista.
Yeah, you should not have said this to Liz, who is a compulsive online shopper.
You know it.
This one's $10,000. It looks like you can get one for $3,000 here. 1,800 carbon steel anti-explosion container.
So these are just like DIY anti-explosion chambers. Can you like bring it to the airport on your own if you don't trust the authorities? They're like, nope,
yes.
Don't worry about it, guys. I've got my own.
Bomb blanket.
Bomb blanket.
Bomb basket. Doesn't say the price.
Isn't that a Shaggy song?
Container basket for police. $1,800.
Isn't that a Shaggy song? Bomb basket. Mr. Lava Lava.
Ooh.
Mr.
So
Bombastic. Very fantastic.
Here's one that says new bomb disposal container. It's definitely like a brownie, like aluminum cookie sheet. You cannot dispose bombs in this. This is for like cooking a turkey.
It's for like weighing your baby when she's first born.
Okay, so it's tagged as bomb disposal container, bottle cake pan, and aluminum foil bowl.
All of the above uses are
I
acceptable.
feel like your English is not strong. Oh, here's one, ceramic bomb-shaped piggy bank with like a skull and crossbones on it. This is fucking cool.
Oh my god.
Cosmetic oil container. Popcorn container. There's some good stuff on here.
I've never bought anything from Alibaba.com. I'm gonna have to change that. I'm gonna give up my Amazon Prime membership and just fucking.
Well, the problem is a lot of these are like minimum order 10,000 pieces.
You know, I'm glad this segment came after Jen bought your daughter a gift, because she would have totally gone to Alibaba.com and started shopping there.
Bought us like a crate of 50,000 bomb-containing aluminum foil pans.
She's thoughtful like that. She would have done it, and then like, I hope you guys like this.
I just know how fast babies go through things.
All right, kids. Well, shall we do picks?
Let's do picks.
I am happy to go first.
Cool.
My pick this week is an app called All Trails. It's just a little app that will show you all the like hiking or mountain biking or skiing or whatever trails near you. It's like super easy to use. It's cool.
All trails.
Amy and I bought a mountain bike this week, so I've been riding it to the train station, but I was looking for some trails to ride it on too. So
throwing up mad bunny hops like back in the day, back in '97.
So I've been taking it easy on the bunny hops because I'm super old now and my bones are now very brittle. So I just, I ride in the middle gear at a reasonable pace.
You know, you guys are ridiculous because I don't even have a kid and I wouldn't buy a mountain bike. You guys are like brand new parents and you're like, you know what? We need more hobbies. Like I look for reasons not to do shit. Like I'm like, oh, I can't work right now because I don't have a coffee. And you're like, oh, you know, we're up at 3 in the morning with the baby. Maybe we can mountain bike while she naps. Like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
You know what's my new favorite hobby? Finding things in the yard to cut with my chainsaw.
Oh.
So fucking satisfying.
You know, I think it was the chainsaw purchase that led Jen to get your brand new daughter a tool set.
Well, I'm teaching her how to use the chainsaw.
Yeah.
Right now she just tries to put her mouth on it, which is not good. So we're working on getting her to use the chain brake correctly and, use the pull start. But she's a baby. So she uses this chainsaw for now. This is her drill.
Yeah.
That
is such a great gift.
It's so good. Savage, it's a genius.
She's a genius gift giver.
Guys, I'm reading a blog that I read every morning, and I'm seeing right now that it's friend of the pod Joe Rogan's birthday. So
oh my god!
Hey, happy birthday, Joe Rogan!
Yeah, he turned 47, and he's listening to this. So Joe, happy birthday! And
how old is he?
47.
Wow, he looks it.
Yeah, and thank you in advance for shouting out our podcast on yours whenever you record the next one.
47. There's hope for all of us to do eugenic drugs and be awesome at Taekwondo and Jiu-Jitsu and go hunting in Alaska.
Exactly. I'm going to get started, and I'm going to kill a mountain lion with my bare hands, even though it won't be a real story.
But people will believe it because it's actually kind of believable.
Exactly. Back to our story about bicycles and how Oak is just a better human than any of us will ever be. I bought a bike a couple months ago, and it sat on the porch of my house for like 4 months, having been ridden once. And I was away. I was actually, where was I? In New York or something. And I get a text from my roommate being like, "Did you come by to pick up the bike because it's not on the porch anymore?" And I'm like, "Oh no." She's like, "Yeah, I think your bike got stolen." And I was like, "Oh well." Not the worst thing in the world. And I just wanted to be like, you know what, criminals, if you would just come up to the house and knocked on the door and been like, can I have that bike? I would have been like, absolutely, because
You would have been
I
like,
can't afford
why did you
one.
even ask? Like,
Yeah,
just
exactly.
take it. It's right
Just
there.
take it. Yeah, it's right there. I'm too lazy to go buy a lock for it. I'm never gonna buy a helmet, and I'm not gonna ride it without the helmet because I'm a sped. So
What are you bothering
just
me
take
for?
it.
Just
Yeah,
fucking
leave me
take
alone.
it.
Just take it, and you can have my car too. It's
Right.
fine. I can't afford to put gas in
The
it.
keys are in the ignition.
Yeah, exactly.
I never even rolled
You know
the
what-
windows up.
Do you want my identity? We can even switch. I don't care. You're a sophomore in high school. Just give me your library card. I'll take it.
I left my wallet in that cab that just pulled away. Just ask him.
Yeah. You want this burner phone? I'm gonna smash it anyway. Yeah, bare bones existence, Liz Hall.
Liz, what's your pick of the week?
My pick of the week is a hilarious comedian named Matt Miller. He is this guy that he's doing something where I think he's trying to do like 100 open mics in like some period of time, but he just like crushes it. He goes to every single open mic, and he has a very sort of weird and quirky comedic style that the first couple times I saw it, I was like, ooh, that's awkward. Like, I don't get it. But every time I see him perform, he just becomes funnier and funnier, or more funny, because I don't think funnier is a word, every single time. And I just admire him because he just goes and he crushes it, and he's really committed to it. And people get really mad at him. The other night, we were at an open mic, and he has this hilarious joke, and I hope me telling this joke isn't some sort of like copyright infringement thing, but he says, everyone's always talking about gay marriage, like gay marriage is such a big deal, but why isn't anyone ever talking about gay mirage? But it's so fucking funny, and I don't know why. But we were at this open mic the other night, and somebody yelled from the back of the room, somebody yelled out, "That's not funny!" And I seriously almost stood up and rushed the table, because I was like, that shit is funny. And he worked really hard. I hate you. But anyway.
Gay
Yeah.
Mirage.
Gay Mirage. Try and get it out of your head. I'll never be able to get it out of my head. Gay Mirage. But Matt Miller, hilarious comedian, up and coming, really committed to his craft.
Nice. Good pick.
Yeah.
Byron, what you got?
My pick of the week is twofold. So I've already mentioned Charlize Theron and Soul Cycle on today's podcast, and my pick of the week marries both. Apparently, she was at her Soul Cycle class a couple weeks ago, and one of the stars from Sister Sister spotted her on a bike and went up to her and was like, "Oh my God, hi!" And Charlize Theron looked at her and goes, "Oh God," and gets off the bike and walks away. So
Just left her bike.
yeah, she was like, "Fuck this." So I guess it was Tia Mowry. So there's Tia and Tamara, who were famous, I guess, 30 years ago. And so she went to the press with this, and she was like, "Yeah, Charlize has this reputation as being this like amazing, not only amazing actress, but like really caring and then a humanitarian and really just great with people." And she was also in the news recently for giving a $100 tip at Pinkberry. So when she saw Tia Mowry and just said, "Oh God," and walked away from her bike, I just thought it was fucking genius. And then the story gets better because Tia goes to the press with this, obviously, because she needs to keep her name relevant. And then Charlize was like so mad that happened because she goes to this class and expects some kind of privacy. Like, she's not going there as a public figure; she's going as someone who wants to work out. So now she's trying to get Tia banned from her Soul Cycle class, which is fucking genius. Yeah. But it brings me to the second part of my story, second part of the pick of the week, which is I went to the gym yesterday for the first time in 6 years. Because I've been losing weight recently, and I kind of want to do more than just eat better. I kind of want to tone things up because I've got really saggy tits. And so I go to the gym, and I was like, you know what? I'll start by warming up. I'll do the elliptical, whatever. And I by mistake did 45 minutes on the elliptical, and it was only because I was watching Food Network, and I started in the middle of a show, and then I watched another one, so I did 45 minutes. And I was like, oh, damn, I'm so proud of myself, until I realized that I was the fat person grunting and huffing and puffing while watching fucking Bobby Flay barbecue some peaches. So that's a little my pick of the week is going to the gym.
I like
Nice.
that.
I like that too.
Byron, can I make a recommendation? I think it's an app that I recommended a while ago, and a blog too. It's called Strong Lifts 5x5, and it's like basically based around like a couple of like simple like barbell weightlifting exercises, and it's a very simple routine. You do 5 sets of 5 reps of like 3 different exercises a day, and it's super simple. It's not easy. They're like hard, but it's simple. You can do it, and you just increment a little each day, or each time you go. You only do it maybe 3 or 4 times a week, but if you really like want to change your body composition, that is the way to do it.
Yeah.
Strong Lifts 5x5. There's a blog, and there's an app that will just take you through each one of these exercises, and then each time you do, like, there's like an A routine and a B routine, and you just switch off between the 2 of them, and each time it'll just increment. It'll add like 2.5 or like 5 pounds to each lift, so you go up a little each time you do it, and it's awesome. And it's like the best way to like make like significant changes in like the composition of your body. So,
and what you only need barbells?
Yeah, you can do it at a gym. So the lifts are the squat, deadlift, overhead press, bench press, bent over row. I think that's it.
Okay, bent over row I'm pretty sure I'm already doing. The other ones I'll have to research a little bit more.
They're all like, you know, they're like very basic exercises. They're like the fundamental ones, and the best thing about them is that each one of them uses so much of your body that you don't have to do like a ton of different stuff. Like,
okay.
The squat works like almost every muscle in your body, and it's really good cardio because it's very demanding, and you know it just like it changes your like blood serum level so that you have like the right kind of like hormones and different things in your blood to like cause you to like lose weight and cause your other muscles in your body besides your legs to grow.
Good, because really I have way too much estrogen. I need a little bit of more testosterone.
Squats and broccoli, man.
Yeah. Wait, is broccoli really good for testosterone?
Yeah, broccoli is one of the foods that's supposed to be, what's the hell's the name of the word? I forget. But it stimulates production of testosterone.
Oh, good. I'm going to fucking deep throat some of that shit.
And stay away from soy. Soy food stimulates estrogen. And get plenty of sleep. And drink water.
I'm gonna try to be more like you, Oak. I'm gonna fucking create a monster here.
Well, try this 5x5 routine.
I'm definitely going to. I need something that isn't like, because if you don't go in there with a plan, you're gonna fail, right? So I feel like just going to the gym and going every weekend now, because it's gonna be hard for me to go during the week because my gym is in Westchester, and I just have this routine where I'm not gonna be able to go before work, and reasonably I'm not gonna go after work. So I'm gonna commit to going the weekend. So I need stuff that I can do at home. Or stuff that is more than just like walking. I've kind of graduated to a slight jog when I go out in my neighborhood, but
nice, Bizzle.
Yeah, I just need something because if I don't have a plan, I'm gonna fail. I know that about myself.
Yeah, I would try doing again this 5x5 thing, like with just body weight squats, like just do squats without any weight.
Yeah,
it's hard enough, and push-ups, and you know, those are 2 things to do in addition to walking that will really help.
Yeah, I have to start doing push-ups. I have like 0 upper body strength.
Yeah, I mean, just, you know, if you do 5 today and then do 6 tomorrow, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
If you do,
I'm gonna start with girl push-ups though, and then I'll graduate.
Yeah.
My recommendation would be to do, if you can do 1 guy push-up, just do 1 guy push-up, but then tomorrow do 2.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, they come easy, because that's one of those things that like it gets the number you can do will increase rapidly once you get used to the motion.
But you know what is another flaw of mine is that I'll do something and I think I can jump to advanced right away. So you guys are going to hear a loud crash, and it's going to be because I'm going to try to do one of those clapping push-ups. I can hit the ground with my teeth. Because like, this is easy. I can do this.
I think the key is to like start with something that's manageable and that you feel comfortable doing, and then add a little tiny bit on each time.
Yeah.
It's called progressive overload. It's like the basic tenet of like working out.
You know what? Maybe on our next podcast, I'll do a push-up while we're recording.
I like
Okay.
that idea.
Yeah. I'm just gonna try to get a medic alert bracelet before that because it's an occupational hazard. Me trying to be fucking physically fit while working.
And if you don't do the push-up, you have to donate $100 to the American Liver Society.
I've got to go get a bag of ice.
Yeah, we do. have to go procrastinate this for 48 hours.
No, you have 24 hours to do it before I publicly shame you.
So what else is new?
Right.
We have about 48 hours on iTunes of us being publicly shamed by each other. So.
Yeah, exactly. My whole life is public shaming.
You know, I'm actually really excited that we did this Monday morning podcast because in about 17 minutes when we get text messages from Jen saying no pod, we can reply
Yeah,
to
no.
yes pod.
You're like, yeah, there is a pod. Dummy. Just kidding, Jen. You're not dumb. I love you.
We love you, Jen.
Love you,
guys.
Thank you for Leah's toolbox. And we'll see all you
Yay.
guys later this week.
See you
Yeah.
later this week. God knows
All right.
when. We'll figure it out.
Maybe we'll do Thursday.
Sounds good to me.
All right. Love y'all.
Great show, guys.